Hey guys, welcome back to my lifting series where I record as much of every single workout that I do as I possibly can and provide insights along the way. We're just now starting my second program called Myo Max. Um, you guys can get the program in the description if you so desire, but even if you don't, you can still follow along and see what I'm doing. Or you can just choose not to follow it and just, get a glimpse into what I do, and hopefully I can entertain you guys along the way. Today, for this brand new program, which is, by the way, a 6 day a week, 9 week program where we progressively increase volume over time. It's pretty high volume and pretty high frequency, so it's only for people who are ready to get pretty serious about their training. Today, we're starting with the Smith machine bent over row. So I like doing this one, and I'm glad that I'm including it into this program, because usually like a bent over row is done with dumbbells or a barbell, and it's not that much of a stable exercise, but it's a huge strength and mass builder. I mean, it's a tried and true exercise for a reason, guys. But I'm doing it with the Smith machine in this particular program because this is a hypertrophy program, and I'm trying to build as much muscle as possible. So you want a stability component. So I think that doing it on the Smith machine instead of a barbell or a dumbbell is going to achieve that desire that I want of stability. And that's also why I'm using a belt and straps as well, so that I'm more stable and more locked into place, and I can produce more power and strength output. So let's get into it. Also, with these Smith machines, I don't know if you guys' gym is like this too, but there's these pretty annoying like safety guards that stop me from going as far down as I want. So I grabbed like a little pad thing right here to lift me up so that I can get a further range of motion, because you want as far as range of motion as possible. Anyway, on each set, we're going to emphasize full range of motion, and at the end, we're going to do some shrugs for some added volume for our traps. Okay. Okay, I think that was a good first set. In general, I like to match the pressing and the pulling weight if I can, but since this is a newer exercise for me, like as in I haven't done it in a very long time, I'm kind of starting off a little bit light, but I hit that upper range. I kind of want like between 6 and 10 repetitions for large compound lifts like these, like this one. So I hit 10, and so I'm happy with that, and I think that I'm going to stick to this weight, because after all, this is only week 1 out of 9. So we'll definitely be going up 10 pounds next week. But for this week, I think that 3 sets of 10 I have 45 and a 10 on each side. So it's not super heavy, but it's a good starting place for a new exercise. Okay, another good set to number 2 success. Let's take it. I'm pretty much just trying to match the repetitions of the shrug to the repetitions that I get on the bent over row. And I think that that's a good path to take. Because, you know, we'll be increasing volume on the bent over row, and thus we'll be increasing the volume, or the weight rather. I guess they're interchangeable, but the weight on the shrugs as well. So if you can try to at least get around the same repetition, I think that that's a good goal, especially since traps are like some of the strongest muscles in the human body. I mean, they're tremendously strong, especially, you know, the upper portion of the traps and the shrugging movement. So you can really just hone in on that slow and controlled eccentric and concentric, and just really control the weight and feel that contraction and that stretch in the traps. I think that's a good way to go about it. And I love that in, you know, for the next 9 weeks, we're going to be doing this like little mini superset, because I think that it's just an easy thing to get away with. You know, it just works really well, and you barely have to adjust anything. I mean, you're just throwing on like a little set at the end of like a little set of upper traps at the end of your bent over row work. So next up, I just snagged a bench, and it's kind of to like a low incline, like a 30-degree, and we're gonna kind of like flip around and do some inclined bench press with the Smith machine, of course. And this is actually, if you guys have been following along, this is one that I had as a staple for our chest in my last program, Hypertrophy 1.0. And it's one of those movements that, one of the few movements that I decided to keep around for this next program as well. And that's for 2 good reasons. And the first is just because I think that it's a very, very good hypertrophy exercise for the push muscles of the upper body. But I also think that I still have some juice left in the tank for, you know, getting better at it. And if you guys are still improving at a lift, if you're still getting better in some regard, whether you're like increasing reps or increasing weight, reducing rest times, improving form, improving technique, improving tempo, no matter what it is, as long as you are improving at it, then why would you swap it out? You only really want to swap things out once they either get stale or you stop progressing, you know what I mean? So as long as a lift is still serving you, then why would you get rid of it? And that's kind of how I feel about this, is I still, like I went up every single week, and then I took my deload, and so I still think that I could potentially go up. So anyway, I'm going right back into the weight that I did last time. I did 2 warm-up sets, not a ton, but I'm going right back into that weight. And then for this program for Myomax, I included some notes into each section, or for like each exercise. So at the end of this, we're going to be doing some long length partials. And what that means is the lengthened position of each repetition is usually the most hypertrophic, because it includes a weighted stretch in most cases. So when you're fully like this is the lengthen and the stretch position for the chest in particular, because you're fully stretched out. So after we're done doing full range of motion repetitions, we're going to transition and just go to like absolute failure, like beyond failure with those partials. And, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this on something like a barbell bench press of any sort because that's just too dangerous unless you have a spotter, of course. But you know, I go to the gym by myself normally, so a Smith machine is perfect because you know you have those safeties where you can just lock back in. Yeah. Anyway, let's try it out. Woo! Holy hell! So, see right there. If I didn't have this safety to throw it on, I would have been screwed in that position. But luckily, I can just slide the bench out and get out. But that's what I'm talking about. You take every rep through its full range of motion, and then once you can't complete a like solid full range of motion repetition, then you transition into those only partials just to get as much time in that stretched position, so that we can, you know, hopefully get more growth. Okay. Luckily that time I actually got it high enough so I could get out without scooting the bench back, because I was kind of thinking that may be a bit of a hindrance, a bit of an annoyance, because when I scooted the bench back, it took me a second to like re-find where I want the bench to be for the next set. So I kind of had to like finagle my way and just kind of figure it out. But that could definitely be annoying, especially when we start getting a lot stronger, because when you're a lot stronger, you're going to be using heavier weights and there's more injury risk associated with that. So when the bench is like all out of place, there's a higher risk that you may injure yourself. All right, this is going to be the last set of our primary compound lifts. We have a couple more compound lifts in this particular day. However, they're not nearly as taxing, and that's why I'm okay with having like whatever, it's 8 to 10 exercises, because some are supersets, a lot are like not very fatiguing, they're like cable or machine work. So it's something where yes, it's going to take some time, but it's not going to be like inherently super taxing on your body. So, you know, that's what I kind of look for when I'm programming lifts after like the main like 1 or 2. I like to have like 1 or 2 really challenging lifts in the beginning that are compound lifts that are like difficult to perform. And then after that, I go into like more like easier isolation stuff just to, you know, add in more volume and more stimulus for growth, but without actually overtaxing ourselves. Because if you just did a ton of compound lifts back to back for like the whole day, for the whole program, you're gonna burn out way sooner than you want to, in my personal opinion. It's just kind of the way that I've learned to handle, to like program throughout trial and error, you know? Okay, last set, let's try and get the same full range of motion reps and partials. And by the way, I recorded both, so I did like the weight times the full range times the partials, so that I have the records for everything. Damn it. That time I only got 6. So definitely not ideal. But you know what? If I'm to mess up on any set, it's the last set of the major compound. So, you know, that's okay. I'll just record it as is. And next time I'll try and surpass it. All right, this is another one of those exercises that I decided to keep. I just love having a machine row of some sort. And of course, this machine row may not match the machine row that you guys have at your gym. So just use whichever one you have. The most important part is that you're sticking to the same machine week after week. I think that that's probably of decent importance, just so the progression that you're recording and showing is, you know, trackable through the same machine, because every machine is a little bit different. Even if, you know, they are on paper very similar, they're still going to have a little bit of difference, you know, like just the age or like how well like oiled the machine is could completely mess with how it feels while you're doing it. So anyway, I'm sticking to the same way as Hypertrophy 1.0, my last program that I was running. But with this one, the little twist on this machine is that we're doing drop sets now. So, you know, I've spoke on intensity techniques before, especially drop sets, where I don't think that it has really any clear hypertrophic value besides the fact that it ensures that you're hitting absolute failure. So it makes sure that your sets are intense. And I think that, you know, for those of you, and even myself, sometimes I'm the same way. Like sometimes I quit shy of failure, and sometimes I don't even really realize it just because I'm so like tired or something. But with a drop set, you're gonna make sure that you're hitting the mark, you know what I mean? And on top of that, they're just fun. So I decided, you know, what the heck, if any exercise deserves a drop set, it would be this one. So I'm only doing 2 sets, but we're gonna make them count. And then also in the notes, I said that you should be doing a scapular protraction and retraction. That's just to ensure full range of motion. So really stretch out your scapula in this position and then retract it on the way back. Okay, I'm gonna go from 135 down to 80, and then we're just not gonna use straps for the drop set portion. Okay, that was definitely a good set. I'll definitely be feeling that one. So, drop sets worked. Okay, I misspoke earlier. It's actually 85 pounds because I have this 5-pound modifier for the drop set, not 80. All right, another successful set. All right, guys, next up, we're moving on to the machine equivalent of the machine row. Or sorry, the the chest equivalent of the machine row. So we're like, if you guys can't tell, we're alternating between the posterior and the anterior side of the upper body. This is just like a full-on upper body day. So we went from primarily doing our back and biceps to doing our chest, shoulders, and triceps, just by choosing like a row to a press to a row to now a press. And since we did a compound incline bench press, I'm moving on to a machine flat bench press, just so that we hit more of the chest. And of course, when you're doing any sort of movement for a muscle, you're going to be hitting the whole muscle, but you can preferentially target a certain aspect of the muscle. So like with the Smith machine incline bench, we're primarily targeting the clavicular or the upper portion of the chest. So with this one, we're going to be more hitting like everything. And I think I'm going to do the wide grip. Let's see how this feels. I'll try it close. I haven't really played around with it yet. I think I'm gonna do close. I'll probably let's do one set close, one set. I'm not sure what I want to do here. I'm thinking, since we did kind of like this hand grip on the Smith machine, maybe I should do more of a close on this one. Let's try that, and maybe on the second set I'll mix it up. But anyway, we're doing long length partials again. I think that those are just so great on any pushing exercise. It makes sense, I think that it just lends itself better to pushing exercise. That's just the way it feels to me and the way I kind of see it. So we're going to be doing that again for this. Okay, I got 10 4-range motions and then 5 long leg partials. I think that's great. That was definitely, I'm already like substantially more pumped just from that one exercise, that one set rather, which is crazy. Another thing is, I know we ran a similar movement in hypertrophy 1.0. It's actually right next to me. It's the incline variation of this. And I already spoke for why I'm mixing it up. However, I would like to say that I'm not keeping the same weight. I'm actually decreasing the weight by about 10 pounds. I went from like 150, I think was my best on hypertrophy 1.0. And then for Biomax, I'm going down to 140. And the only reason for that is just it's a new machine. I'm not as used to it as the other one. And therefore, I like to kind of regress back down one step, just 10 pounds and work my way up. Because as I was saying earlier, not every machine is created equal. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't expect the same, if you see a machine in one gym and it does a similar function, you wouldn't expect it to be exactly the same in your gym. That's just not the case a lot of the times. But that's what's kind of fun about lifting. Like, sometimes I'll just go to another random gym, like when I was doing this previous deload week before we're starting this program, I went to a couple different gyms and I just kind of messed around and got a free trial and just was checking out the equipment to see if maybe I wanted to swap or something, just to kind of mix things up. And, some of those gyms had the craziest equipment. I'm talking like a chest press machine, which is mixed with a fly where you're like fully out here, but then you're pressing it. That's one that I particularly miss. That thing felt incredible. But I got to remember that my muscles only really know tension. So, it's not the end of the world if you have to sacrifice having like, your dream machine for one that may be slightly less superior in your eyes. Because at the end of the day, as long as you're pushing it all the way and you're really giving it your all, I think you're still gonna see like the same results. That's just my opinion. And I think I've come to a conclusion here. I'm gonna stick with the narrow grip. I kind of like it. It's almost the cue of like, I'm trying to bring my biceps together, and that just like enacts the biggest contraction. Okay. Ooh, okay. Holy shit. Oh, I hope that you guys try out this program. Even if you don't end up getting the program, you gotta freaking like at least run it alongside me and try out these long leg partials at the end of the set. Oh my God, freaking destroyers. Next up, we're doing the seated, kind of like chest supported unilateral cable lat pull. So it's gonna be one arm at a time, and you're just gonna be stretching out as much as you can with your lat, and then squeezing in while facing the bench with the cable. So I have the cable set all the way up. And I really like this one because you can really just focus on each lat at one time. So like in hypertrophy 1.0, I only had bilateral lat movements, so using both hands, like the lat pull down and stuff. And while I think that's great, I think that mixing it up from time to time is a great idea. And on paper, this exercise is like super sick. You know what I mean? It's like, you're getting to use your muscles to the fullest extent and just get the full range of motion. So here we go. And I'm trying to do around 10 to 15 of these. Yeah, I got 15 there without like really that strenuous of cheat reps, and the intensity technique for this exercise is cheat reps. So I'm doing a few of those at the end of every set, but I got 15 there without really needing to cheat that much. So I'm actually going to be going up in terms of weight. And then with the repetitions before the cheat reps, I'm really just focusing on getting that scapular, protraction and retraction at every single rep. I know this is a vertical pull, so it feels a little bit different. It almost feels like scapular elevating and compressing, which it kind of is a little bit. I guess it's a little bit of all of that, but you're really trying to just get that stretch and lengthen the lat and then shorten it. So, but keep in mind that you don't want, sorry, I'm adding a lot of stuff, so you don't want to be like moving your torso too much. This is kind of more of a strict, really like squeezing and stretching movement. That's why it's later on in like the latter half of the program. It's not in the beginning because it doesn't require as many muscle groups and stuff. So anyway, All right, I'm going up 10 pounds from 42.5 to 52.5 in hopes of making it a little bit more challenging. That's, you know, that's the thing with like first starting a program is you're not really sure where your weights are. So that's what week 1 is kind of for, you know? Yeah, I still kept those cheat reps a little bit strict, which is okay, but may try and put more of an emphasis on them. Got 12 there. Next up, we're doing a superset, and this is kind of like just some isolation superset work. So we're supersetting the bilateral straight arm cable push down or pull down rather. So this one where we're just focusing on, you know, just lats. So it's not like a row or like a vertical pull like the last one that we just did. This one is more of just isolating the lats and just getting that push down movements. Then we're gonna be supersetting that with a unilateral cable chest fly, that one that I really liked from last program. I'm keeping the weights the same actually from last program. I think I just got a couple reps shy of what I was hitting. I think I was hitting 12s a couple weeks ago. It's okay, we'll work our way up, especially since this movement is after so much heavy pulling. So these supersets at the end are really just to add an additional volume without fatigue. So, you know, you guys don't need to be taking these as intensely, though if you're feeling like you can, I think you should. Just keep in mind that it's not designed to mess you with your recovery. Okay. All right, we just got one more set of these, and then we're gonna finish off with some abdominal movements and some shoulder, a little bit of shoulder stuff. For abs, shoulders, and calves, for the most part, I've just kind of sprinkled in across the days. And the reason for that is because I think that those body parts can handle a lot more frequency of training, and therefore I think that we should be training them more frequently. If a muscle can handle it, then you should do it. I mean, you ideally always want the muscle to be in that growth state. And when when you train it and then let it fully recover, and then you wait a while to train it again, you're just leaving a whole section of time out there where you're not actually getting anything out of it, you know, you're just rested. So why would you do that? And therefore, you know, I'm sprinkling in abs and calves and shoulders for the most part, even though we do train shoulders directly on the arm day that'll be coming up in 2 days. Anyway, I'm also, lastly, before I get into this last set of these, is that, you know, in the last program, I didn't have any direct ab training. I'm changing my tune. In the past, I've like wanted to train my abs and then I just end up skipping it every time. So I think that, but you know, when I write something down into a program, I always do it. So I'm actually programming it in because I would love to have more prominent abs. And abs are just like any other muscle group. You gotta work them to grow them. Okay. All right, guys. All right, specifically, we're gonna be doing the cable crunch with the cable upright row. I'm gonna start with the cable crunches. Try out 72.5. I'm gonna try strict form. I don't know if you guys can see this. With those, you really just want to be keeping your hips in place and then just focus on contracting your abs and, you know, flexing your spine and unflexing it. Okay, next up for some side laterals, I'm doing these guys. You'll notice that I'm not actually programming in any like particular intensity techniques while I'm doing a superset, and that's because the intensity technique is the superset. Supersets, even though we're not doing like same muscle supersets, they're still very fatiguing because you're giving your body very little rest. So if I were to add intensity techniques on top of it, like, you know, do the cable crunch, then you do a drop set, then you do the upright row, then you do cheat reps, it's just gonna be so fatiguing. And again, I'm not looking to fatigue myself too much with these supersets. I'm just trying to add in extra volume and save time doing it. And that's what supersets. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for week 1, day 1 of my Myomax program. I'm gonna finish off captain's chair leg raises off camera, just because I'm on kind of a time crunch. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed day 1 of many days to come.